Hey guys, what's going on? Murder here. So before I get into anything else right now regarding this video, let me just be the first to actually say that I'm really glad that this is a World of Remnant for this week and not episode 10. I know that's really crazy to say, you know, everyone wants a forwarding of the story, everyone wants to know what happens next, but from my reaction of episode 9, it was and still is a very emotional and devastating episode for me to handle. I haven't even gone back to rewatch the episode, that's how bad it was. And it just broke me in the craziest way possible of, you know, Penny is no longer around. We don't know if she's going to be able to be saved or salvaged from, you know, with Ironwood's help or anything. Adam is there, the Grimm are there, Roman's broken out of prison, Neo's in the mix, and there's chaos and pandemonium. There's Grimm attacking there's Grimm also attacking Amity Coliseum. So it's like so much craziness is going on, and I don't think I would have been able to handle all of that coming right back into the craziness of last week with episode 10. So we're going to be getting that next week. So in light of that, we're getting the last World of Remnant, the fourth World of Remnant of the volume, which is based on the seasonal maidens, the four maidens, winter, spring, summer, and fall. So we got kind of like a synopsis on them based on the fairy tale of that Pyrrha mentioned in episode 6. And then episode 7, we got a little bit of a display of their techniques and powers and prowess from Amber in episode 7 against her matchup with M, Cinder, and Merc. So I'm wondering, and this episode is 7 minutes long. This is the longest World of Remnant we've had. I think the longest prior to this is like 3.5 minutes. So I'm assuming that they're going to go into they're going to reiterate the story to some degree, maybe go a little bit more in depth on each sister specifically, maybe give us their names, aside from their habitual behaviors, if they're all the same in terms of their combat readiness of, you know, do they all go in the avatar state? Do they all wield the same elements? Are any of them different aside from their personalities? And I'm hoping that we get a little bit more insight to the old man in the story, because there's a lot of speculation going on, and I also tip my hat to the speculation and kind of believe it as well, that Ozpin is somewhat connected to this story if he's not already that old man from that story. I feel like he's like a Time Lord or something like that regarding his semblance, or, you know, just subtle clues and hints in the series so far. But anyways, we're going to be getting into this. I really, really am looking forward to a lot. It's 7 minutes, so I'm expecting it to be somewhat very informative. So I'm on the Rooster Teeth page as usual, and I'm going to move this over to the side for you guys. All right, we're going to be starting this in 3, 2, 1, now. I'll put this in full screen. I hope you guys enjoy. RWBY, World of Remnant. This is the last World of Remnant too. So I'm wondering if there's going to be, I wonder if there's going to be an exclusive one on the Blu-ray DVD like Volume 2 though. Alright, the Four Maidens, here we go.
Deep in the forests of Remnant, beside a great and mighty river, stood the small, fragile home of a cold, frail man. A lone wizard. Hidden from the dangers and distractions of the world, the wizard seldom had visitors. But
the Wizard of Oz!
As he
That's Ozpin!
His gaze fell upon a young maiden.
Oh shit, Winter!
Calmly she sat beneath his tree, in a state of absolute tranquility. When the wizard demanded an explanation, the maiden simply replied, "My name is Winter. I am on a journey, and I am waiting for my sisters." With that, she closed her eyes and sat in silence. The wizard told himself the girl was a fool, but the longer she sat, the more he wished to share in the serenity the young maiden enjoyed. In time, he grew tired and decided to close his eyes as well, thinking on this strange predicament.
He straight knocked the hell out.
Opening his eyes, the wizard
Holy shit, this dude slept through the whole winter?
Had appeared beneath his tree, cheerful and
oh, it's spring.
With a basket of fruit and flowers. When he asked for an explanation, the girl simply replied, "My name is Spring. I am on a journey, and I am waiting for my sister."
Ozpin's high-pitched voice. So much.
For his reluctant hospitality, the girl retrieved a handful of seeds from her basket and planted them in the wizard's garden.
Oh, look at this animation, dude! Wow! And this is a World of Remnant too. Like, these are usually like still images, but this is incredible.
Could hardly believe his eyes as the maiden turned what was once a mere pile of dirt and manure into a beautiful garden.
Yo, she goes to work. Look at her.
Blossom. It's likely he would have gazed for hours, were it not for the unfamiliar laughter he heard from beneath his tree.
Oh shit, the third sister,
A
Summer.
young woman with a warm smile now stood beside the two maidens. The wizard begged her to introduce herself, to which she happily responded, "My name is Summer. I am on a journey, and I am waiting
for my sisters, of course.
Of course, thought the wizard. But another chirp of laughter left the old man perplexed. What in the world?
I love this. This
was
is
so
like a
funny?
story. This is literally like we're getting the fairy tale itself.
As it turned out, it was him. The new arrival found the wizard's insistence on staying indoors so very amusing. Why choose to view the world through a small window?
Door's right
The
there.
door leading
Yep.
out to it was right at his side. It was a compelling argument, and after only a moment of
I
brief
love this so
hesitation,
much.
the
This is
wizard
so
left his
fucking
home
awesome.
and stepped outside. The warmth of the sun brought with it a surge of energy and life.
He's about to go Super Saiyan.
He wasn't feeling much like himself
His
anymore.
beard just turns gold. Yo! Straight pushing him. Wow.
He was feeling much better.
This is awesome, man. This is so fucking
As the day
cool.
drew to a close, the maidens and the wizard all settled down and prepared a feast. Winter set the table. Spring supplied the crops. Summer prepped the meal, and the wizard was the happiest he'd been in
Where's
ages.
Fall, though? I think when Fall gets here, they're
But
all
in
gonna have
all
to
the
leave.
excitement, he nearly failed to notice the delicate woman that now stood beneath his tree.
Oh, wow. She looks just like
He
Amber.
smiled and beckoned her to join them, asking only for her name. "My name is Fall," she replied softly. "I am on a journey and am here to meet my sisters. Who are you?"
Huh.
"Me?" the wizard wondered. "Well, I am but an old hermit. I have lived in these woods alone for centuries, and I'm afraid
What?
my story is not
Centuries?
very
That's
interesting,
Ozpin.
as
That
I have
has
no
to
one
be. He's a
love and
time
nothing
wizard,
to my
dude.
name." The eldest sister looked up at all that surrounded them.
And she's the oldest.
Do
I
you
wonder
not
if...
see? You have so much. It was true. With their help, it was now clear to see that the wizard had everything he could ever need. He was grateful, but a question lingered in his mind. "Why me?" he asked. "Why did the four of you choose to open my eyes, to share with me your gifts? Why am I so special?" The four sisters looked
Look at Summer's
each other
face, she's like,
perplexed.
You're not special,
Finally,
dude.
the eldest spoke. "I beg your pardon, sir, but we did not do these things for you because you were special. We do what we can for everyone."
And because you're a wizard, I mean, let's be real. Even if it was because you're special, it's
The
like,
old
dude.
wizard was at a loss. Never in his years had he come across such kindness. It was in that moment that he knew what should be done. The wizard summoned his magic, every ounce he could muster,
The birth of magic, dude.
and bestowed it upon the sisters.
Jeez. This is incredible anime. Look at this, dude. Shout out to the Shout out to the RWBY animation team. They did a fucking awesome. Like, this is so fucking awesome. This is literally like a storybook, like,
He
tale.
smiled. "Take this
And the
gift
animation
and
works so
know
well
now
with it.
that you are able to do so much more. Now, armed with the elements, the very powers of nature, and the unimaginable
Yo.
magic of the wizard, the four maidens, Winter, Spring,
Summer and Fall.
and Fall, promised to carry onward with their journey, using their gifts to aid others, just as they had aided him. One by one, the sisters left. But before they did, they made one final promise.
Share their gifts with the world.
They promised to return each and every year to visit their dear friend.
Uh-oh. Foreshadowing! They're gonna visit Ozpin. That's fucking Oz, dude. Like, that's Ozpin. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. That's Oz. Oh, man, that was really good. So, this was the last World of Remnant for Volume 3 of the Seasonal Maidens. And I think this was an incredible new approach to how the World of Remnants have been represented thus far. Mainly, we usually get like a 3 to 4 minute World of Remnant with some still images and some information that leads to foreshadowing as well as world building and backstory. This time around, it felt like Rooster Teeth really wanted to envelop us in the full understanding of the Seasonal Maidens, how they met this old man, and how they came to be who they are now. It almost felt like we were getting the actual fairy tale that someone like Pyrrha or Ozpin or whoever would hear when they were a child. And I really like that. The animation was great, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't get still images and stuff like that. We actually got lifelike animation. It was charming and was exciting. I think the RWBY team, did an amazing job with this animation personally, and it's my favorite one thus far, especially with how much effort was put into it. The direction was great. Ozpin's commentaries, they're always great, but this one was a lot more lifelike and exciting because it was like telling a story. And I just really like that. So shout out to you guys. This was an amazing World of Remnant, but there wasn't a lot to really take from it because it was mainly more in-depth. It was like an in-depth retelling of Pyrrha's story of, the old man meeting the four maidens and how they kind of changed his perception on, life and, how he's supposed to live, and he's not supposed to really live indoors and be a hermit. He's supposed to enjoy and embrace life, etc., etc. But one thing that really caught my eye was that he is a wizard, so he is one of magic. And I already mentioned it in the initial live reaction. A lot of people have been speculating this for a while, but Ozpin has something to do with time. You have the gears in his office. He mentions that, the story of the maidens has been around since he was a boy, and that's centuries old on top of that. And this wizard has also mentioned that he's been alive for centuries. He's lived by himself for centuries. That has to be Ozpin, the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? They just fit so perfectly, and he has the white hair. I could see like Ozpin maybe shaving and honestly, and getting some glasses and a new getup and and such like that. But I really feel like that's Ozpin. It has to be Ozpin. Who else would it be? You know what I mean? I think there's too much of a distinction between the two to be like, nah, they're two different characters. Don't pull them together, etc. So I really do feel like that is Ozpin. Maybe he has like a time dilutive type of semblance, or maybe he reincarnates or something along those lines. But that's the initial thing that I took from this. And the other thing that I kind of took, which can kind of allude to foreshadowing, hopefully by the end of this volume, is the promise that the four maidens made to the wizard at the end of the episode, which was they promised to revisit each year. Now, we haven't seen any of the maidens. It's like, okay, well, why haven't they gone to visit Ozpin? Because the school year is kind of ending right now. RWBY Volume 1 started. They're at the beginning of the year, attending Beacon and stuff like that. Volume 2 was midterms, like the second semester. Volume 3 is the end of the year, which is when the tournament takes place. So I'm wondering now, because Amber was ambushed, I'm wondering if Amber was on her way to go visit Ozpin when she got attacked. Because she was just traveling on a horse. Maybe she was just traveling a long distance, and she was also and same thing in the story, the Fall Maiden was the last one to show up. So I don't know if the other maidens already met Ozpin at that time, if they were just waiting for Amber, but I feel like maybe Amber was on her way to go and visit, because Crow was around too, and Crow kind of has a link to Ozpin. So I'm just wondering that part. Regarding, what was she up to when she got attacked, if she was planning on visiting Ozpin to keep her promise. Another thing that I want to mention is regarding their promise to visit the old wizard every year. Now, we already know, based on what Glinda mentioned, is that when a maiden dies, her power is transferred to someone new who fills the qualifications of being a Fall Maiden. However, if their promise to the old man was to visit every year, does that mean when a maiden dies, her power not only transfers the powers of the elements, but their consciousness? Because let's just say, for example, Amber, okay? Amber is the Fall Maiden. Amber is not the same maiden that was in this story. She's a descendant of that power over the centuries since the story's been told and since, the maidens have been in existence. So with that in mind, how does Amber know to constantly visit the old man unless it is told by the maidens to their successors if they die, hey, make sure you visit this dude? But then that's kind of weird. So I'm more inclined to believe that maybe they have a link to their past owners, like the past wielders of this power, and it goes back to the whole Avatar situation, like with Rava entering a new host and having that link to your past avatars. I don't know. I don't think that's a loophole or anything, but I just feel like it's something that's worth mentioning. Like, how do these maidens know to visit this old man? Even okay, and if it is Ozpin, and if Amber was visiting Ozpin, how does she know to keep that promise unless the consciousness of the original Fall Maiden transfers along with the power? Which in that case, that'd be kind of weird, because then the kind of like a hostile takeover of a person's free will and body. It's like, okay, you have my power, but I'm the original Fall Maiden, so I'm going to take over your body. I don't know. It's kind of strange. Like, I understand Pyrrha's situation, because Pyrrha is getting the life essence of Amber to latch onto, so she has the Fall Maiden's remaining powers. That's why the dynamic of Amber and Amber and Pyrrha sharing a body is worrisome. But regarding I'm beating a dead horse right now. You guys already know the gist, but let me know what you guys what your takes are on that idea alone. But overall, very enjoyable to watch. Very charming, lighthearted. From the actual for what's going on right now in the present. But leave me your thoughts. What did you guys think about this World of Remnant overall? What did you guys think about anything that I mentioned? Do you guys think Ozpin is the wizard that is depicted in the story? Let me know. All that stuff. I will try to get us back to as many of you guys in the comments for this one and episode 9 before episode 10 comes out. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys for checking this out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.